Welcome back in a continuing saga of B-man space golf. If you've been watching the podcast, you know we started from golf being from the ground up, trying to help you be a better player. Next part of that, from mashing mashed potatoes, I know you thought that was funny. The next part of that is balance. I'm going to show you once again how I learned better balance, using the ground, and making a better golf swing. Here's my old friends from 2004 that I made these 2x4s and painted them so that you could see it when I'm doing a demonstration. And I put this in the grass. They sink pretty low, and I would put them in the position of the way I would stand to hit to make a swing. These, if you fell off of them, would tell you immediately you have a balance problem. So I'm going to show you on a video what that actually looks like so that you can learn from what I've learned from since 2004. I had to get better at my craft, and that's when I began to win competitive or competition tournaments. It made a big difference to me in my beginning. I hope it's going to make a big difference to you in either your beginning or just be a better balanced golfer. Today's episode is concerning good balance. Watch the tape. This is your balance technique. What I've done is I've cut out some 2x4s, and for sake of camera, I spray painted them bright orange and black so that you'll be able to see these, and I'm standing on 2x4s. I'm going to set them down in the position and the angles that I do in my golf swing, and then I'm going to stand on top of these boards. Your balance technique. You do this very slowly and very carefully, because what I'm trying to show you here is that in balance, if you swing a club, let's say you swing it to the back and you fall off the boards like I just demonstrated, you might have a balance issue that you need to fix. By the same token, if I stand on the beams, not only falling off when I swing it backwards, but if I swing it forward and you fall off the beams like this, you may have a balance issue. That's why you want to stand on these 2x4s and practice your golf swing very slowly at first, moving the club back and then moving the club forward very slowly to check your balance. This way you find your feet, you find your center, as they say, swinging that club back and forth very slowly. You know, this might be even a good idea to do at full speed, back and forth, just like this. Not a problem. Swing it back and forth until you find your balance. Remember, this is a technique that you're training yourself how to stay on balance. So no matter what, you just keep swinging. This is all part of your technique that I want you to practice. Again, this is called your balance technique. I cut out a couple of 2x4s, about twice the size of my foot, so that I can stand and do this technique, the balance drill. I hope this one helps you as well. Practice. All right, so what did you think of the balance? Usable? Try it. I guarantee you it'll straighten out the wobbliness that you have from falling off balance. Next I have for you are two gentlemen from the club, older, and how they started playing golf, what it means to them, and why they still keep playing. I think you'll find them interesting. Listen to their responses. Good afternoon, and once again we're on the patio speaking with a few of the Osprey players. This is Mr. Pat Smith, and Pat, welcome to the show. And we want to ask you a few questions to see how you began playing golf. How old were you when you first started playing golf?
Well, I'm 74 now, and I've been playing about 7 years. So,
about 7 years total?
Yeah. I took the game up very, very late, and I've been enjoying it for the last 7 years, most days.
Most days. Well, what keeps you playing golf today?
Well, we have a wonderful camaraderie down here at the Dunedin Golf Course with the group of fellows, the golfers called the Ospreys. And I have a summer home here, or a winter home here in Dunedin, and live on Cape Cod. And I found that the group down here in the Ospreys were very similar to the folks that I play with up on Cape Cod. great bunch of guys, easy to know, and great to be with out on the course.
And how, in what way, does golf motivate Mr. Smith?
Well, it's some days it's a fun walk, and other days it's a bad walk. The motivation, I think, just comes from I walk most of the time rather than use a cart. So I like to think that I'm doing something good for my body, even though some days I don't play as well. But motivation is basically health-oriented and the camaraderie.
And you mentioned earlier in this interview that you started golf late. Even though you started late, if you had to give a tip to a beginner or an intermediate or even advanced player, what would that tip be?
Well, intermediate or beginner would be take a lesson right from the beginning. Intermediate, read about what you can, watch videos and so forth. I feel as though there are a lot of good books out there. I just read one the other day. It gives you a few strokes, a few ideas on how to hit out of a bunker, some putting strokes. And the book that I have is 5 Lessons by Ben Hogan. It's an old book, but it really brings the game into about 5 different elements.
Well, Pat, we really appreciate you coming on the show today, and thank you so much. Those are quite candid answers that I think some of our listeners can use. A lot of that information you just stated. Again, he started late in golf. He loves the game, and he still plays it. B-Man out.
Thank you.
Once again, sports fans, B-Man Space Golf. That is the YouTube location. I am so privileged to be sitting out on the Barranca one more time and speaking to a gentleman that we call Webster. Mr. Webster, how are you?
I'm doing fine, thanks.
All right. And we might as well get right to it. How old were you when you started playing golf?
About 45.
45?
Yeah.
And what made you start playing golf?
I was working with a bunch of guys, and the company that I worked for had their own golf course. And they said, we're going to play golf. You want to try it? And I said, sure, why not? And I got hooked the first time I played.
Wow. And what is it that motivates you even now to continue to play golf?
Well, I'm 83 years old, and I figure if I don't play golf and get out and do exercise, I'll just lay home and vegetate. So I love the game, so I love to go out and play.
Very nice. So all these years, 45 to now, that's a long time. What exactly has golf meant to Webster?
I guess, to me, it's always meant a challenge. I mean, I've never been a real good golfer. The lowest I ever was a 12 handicap, but I always wanted to try to be a little bit better.
Okay, well, you're not bad. I'll tell you that. 12 handicap is not a bad place to be. Now, if you had to give a golfer, beginner, intermediate, even advanced golfer, a tip, what tip would Webster give a golfer?
I would tell them, if you are not playing well, go see a pro and get it straightened out, because your friends can't straighten you out, but that pro can watch and see what you're doing, and he knows exactly what you're doing wrong or doing right.
Wow, that is a great tip, Mr. Webster. Listen, thank you so much for being on the show, and I do believe all of our listeners are going to pay attention to every word you say. Thank you so much for being on the show today. We appreciate it.
You're welcome.
See? Painless. Great job, gentlemen. Pat Smith, we thank you for visiting the show today. I'm hoping that a lot that you are learning will definitely help you increase your game to another level, to a whole nother level. Meaning your scores are coming down. You remember, from 100 to 90, 90 to 80, 80 to 70, and you want to be that better player, right? I hope so. Again, B-Man Space Golf YouTube channel. And like B-Man always tells you, putt 'em like you own 'em and rock the baby.